So, it is a fine day to be alive in my country of Englandhamshire. The sun beats down, I've got a week off, and I've actually had some sleep. My God, always a good thing. And last night I watched Deadpool 2. Deadpool 2. Surely one of the most anticipated films of this year. But Benjamin, you normally do music reviews. What's with this? Views, bitch! Yes, I figured I would do my first film review. Don't expect too many of these, I don't go out too often. There's tons of videos out there already with spoilers. I'm sure a lot of you would have seen them if you want to. There will be spoilers in this because I just want to be able to speak about it freely. So if you're not interested or you don't want to have the film spoiled, then, you know, switch off. I mean, loyalty is a big thing to me, but if you want to switch off, then, you know, do that, whatever floats your boat, mate. The movie opens up to our hero trying to kill himself, which as we all know is impossible. And after a short montage piece showing him tackling many villains, done in a typical Deadpool style of humour, we get to find out why he's trying to kill himself. Big spoilers! After this, Wade Wilson, the real name of Deadpool, returns back to his apartment to his girlfriend Veronica, who we know from the first film, of course. And after a brief talk about having children, wanting to start a family, I mean, this sets us up for the film, basically, because taking care of a child is ultimately what this leads into later on. And this is interrupted by intruders intruding into the apartment, and a shootout takes place and Veronica gets caught in the crossfire and dies. I gotta admit, this scene kind of took me back a bit because I wasn't expecting that. It got me, man. It got me. I think what was most disarming about this as well is it led immediately into the title sequence, which was very, very funny, and a total piss take of the James Bond themes. I think the theme itself for this was actually sung by Celine Dion. This is, I seem to remember there was a funny video they did not so long ago in the marketing video, and she's Canadian, I think. The next thing we see is a distraught Deadpool trying to kill himself. Been in a bar for 3 or 4 days, whatever it is, straight, literally pissing himself. We get reintroduced to Deepinder, the taxi driver, who was from the first film, very funny guy and very desperately wants to be part of the team, as well as Weasel, TJ Miller reprising his role in a very funny scene, as well as one of the bikers. I'm pretty sure the biker was one of the patrons in the patrons of the bar in the original. There's a very funny build up to where we just see Deadpool completely losing it, lost in his self-pity, and you know, blaming himself for Veronica's death due to his actions causing it to happen. How much can I go on about this? This is really going on. Essentially, he ends up back at the X-Mansion, where we get reintroduced to Negasonic Teenage Warhead and her lesbian lover. God bless those lesbians. As well as Colossus. He's a great character, actually. I really like the way he's portrayed. And they help Deadpool get his act together. And there's some very funny sequences as well regarding some of the old X-Men films, Patrick Stewart, etc. And he gets taken on as a trainee X-Man. And it's emphasised that it's a trainee. We get our first introduction to Cable about 25 minutes in. In the future, he can travel through time. And something bad has obviously happened. His family's been completely wiped out, burnt alive, and he travels back in time, and obviously we'll see more of him later. But the next time we're with Deadpool, they've been called out, the X-Men, or at least our small group of X-Men have been called out, where we get introduced to Russell, aka Fire Fist. He's the child that needs taken care of in this, that Deadpool ends up having to take care of. This is the only character in it I didn't really like that much. I wasn't a huge fan of the kid playing him, to be quite honest with you. I just found him to be a bit annoying, and then again, I guess teenage kids are. Basically, he's at an orphanage, and he's being abused, I guess, physically abused by the staff there. He's a mutant, obviously, he's Fire Fist, and the warden there in particular has an issue with mutants, as is an ongoing thing in the Marvel franchise, the X-Men mutant stuff. It was a metaphor, of course, for racism originally. And we all just get along, people. Basically, Deadpool ends up... God damn, why don't they fix this fucking thing? Deadpool actually ends up shooting one of the guards there and then gets arrested and gets thrown into the icebox, which is a holding cell for mutants, along with Russell, Firefist. And they both get fitted with collars that somehow, I don't know how, but that somehow prevent all their mutant powers from working. Quite how they have this technology and how it works, I don't know. Maybe that's something that's in the comics, I don't know. But Deadpool, or I suppose he's Wade Wilson now that he has no powers anymore, the effects of his cancer start to immediately take hold, and we see that he's getting very, very sick. There are a couple of funny characters that are introduced throughout the prison, but I won't go into them. I think I'm going on a bit too fucking much as is. But Cable turns up again. Cable tracks them down, and turns out that he's actually after Russell. He's after Firefist. Why? That will be revealed later. Is this just boring as shit? I'm just talking, man. We get a pretty damn cool fight scene with Cable and Deadpool, during which, or should I say Wade Wilson at this point, and conveniently his collar gets removed during the fight. Lazy writing, as he does say himself later on. And of course he gets his regenerative powers back, and he is back in the fight. The fight ends up outside the prison between Cable and Deadpool, and Firefist is transported off to another location. During this, Deadpool has a vision. He's had a few of these, I should have mentioned this earlier, where he sees his dead girlfriend Veronica again. She speaks to him. And this is when he realises that he needs to take care of the kid, and that's his mission. There's a very, very funny sequence when he returns to Dopinder and Weasel. At this point we get a very funny sequence where X-Force is formed. We get introduced to characters like Domino, whose superpower is luck. Very, very cool character, actually. We also get the Vanisher, who's a very cool character, along with a whole other ones, and my personal favourite, Peter, who has no superpowers whatsoever. He just saw the ad and he wanted to be part of the team. I'm sure a lot of you would have seen the adverts for that anyway. Jesus Christ. There's a fantastic scene in it where Cable kidnaps Weasel, and Weasel completely confesses everything immediately. Lets him know everything about the plan, where everybody is, what everybody's doing, and just completely pusses out immediately. Very well done. Next up we have, pretty much for me, one of the funniest sequences in the whole damn movie, and there's a lot of humour in this. It's really, I've heard some people be kind of negative about this film, saying that it didn't meet up to expectations, or it's not as good as the first one, or whatever. I disagree. I really enjoyed this film. I thought it was great. X-Force are now ready to go into battle, and they're approaching the scene in a plane where they all have to parachute out to meet up with the convoy that's escorting all of the prisoners. I'm not going to ruin this one too much for you, because it's definitely worth seeing, but all I'll say is that it is made very clear before the guys step out of the plane that there are very high winds. The winds are too high. What we end up with primarily is a huge sequence now, real CGI fest, that displays Domino's luck, just how lucky she is. And a great sequence, again, a really great character. I really enjoyed her performance in this. Deadpool has another showdown with Cable, as they're trying to, both of them are trying to get hold of Russell, Firefist, who manages to escape due to a prisoner who is also in the convoy, who I shall reveal later. It's also worth mentioning as well, I'm not going to say who it is in case you haven't actually heard who it is yet. I think it's fairly common news already, as it often is, but we do actually see who the Vanisher is. We do actually get to see the Vanisher for a split second at one point, and it's someone you wouldn't expect to see. But very another very funny scene. Another one of those blink and you'll miss it. There's all sorts of Easter eggs and references, and there always is in these films. That's very well done. Very, very good. At the end of this sequence, it's revealed who helped Firefist escape. Juggernaut. Such an awesome character he is. I mean, Vinnie Jones in X-Men 3, oh god, that was terrible. But Juggernaut in this is absolutely awesome, and he literally rips Deadpool in half. It's quite a graphic scene, but yeah, literally rips him in half. Which leads us to the next scene in this film. I'll try not to spoil this scene too much, but we end up with a scene back at Blind Al's place, who's already been introduced earlier on in the film again, another fantastic character. And Deadpool is going through his regeneration phase. Anyone who's seen the first film will remember that bit where his hand was cut off and is regenerating. You got that tiny little baby hand. Well, his entire lower torso is being regenerated. I won't spoil it, but it's such a funny scene. You have to watch it if nothing else for this bit. Cable actually rejoins them at this point, and they have somewhat of a truce, and we learn that Cable is in fact after Russell, because in the future Fire Fist is the person that kills his family. Basically what's happened is Fire Fist is hell-bent on revenge on the warden who imprisoned and abused him. After he kills him, he kind of gets a bloodlust for it, I guess, and just carries on doing it. And it escalates and escalates, and he becomes a villain, basically. And Cable's there to try and stop him. It's also mankind has completely fucked up the planet as well. And he's actually revealed to be a good dude. His motivations are good. Deadpool asks him to give him a chance. Cable's hell-bent on killing Fire Fist to stop him doing what he's about to do, whereas Deadpool is convinced that he can convince him otherwise. We get another brief scene here where Deadpool tries to re-recruit Colossus to get him back, to help him out to fight against Juggernaut, which goes unsuccessfully, or does it? So the remaining members of X-Force, including Dupinder briefly, they go after the warden back at the orphanage where they know Fire Fist is going to be heading. There's a great battle between Juggernaut and Colossus, who finally shows up. There's a great battle. The way Juggernaut gets disposed of as well is pretty damn funny. Pretty damn awesome. We get to the final scenes of the film. There's a big standoff between Deadpool, Cable, Fire Fist, etc. Deadpool's convinced that he can save them. Fire Fist is about to kill everyone with his fists of fire. Cable has enough, tries to shoot him, and Deadpool, who is now wearing a collar again, by the way, so all his mutant powers have gone, gets in the way of the bullet, takes the bullet, basically sacrifices himself so that Fire Fist can live. This has resulted in the future being changed. But Deadpool now dies, and there's a very, very lengthy death scene, which is very funny. Ryan Reynolds, it has to be said, he owns this role, man. He's so good. He's so good in this role. So good he got a chance to reprise the role after Wolverine Origins. So good. Cable can time travel. His time travel watch, whatever it may be, basically has 2 charges. So he had enough to travel back in time, and then he had enough to be able to travel back again to the future. Basically what happens is Cable then goes back in time using his last charge to be able to work out a way where he can save Deadpool and yet still save Fire Fist, meaning that Cable is now trapped in current time. Here we're pretty much at the end of the film. There's a lot that goes on in the after credits. During the credits, I think there's about 3 or 4 scenes, which I'm not going to spoil for you, because I think it's quite fun to be able to watch those yourself. But yeah, there's some very revealing, some of the funniest ones I've seen actually. Absolutely fantastic. So that's Deadpool 2. Is that a review, or is it just me talking about the fucking film? Is that what a review is? I suppose it is. Anyway, I'd give this a solid 9 out of 10. I don't care what a lot of other reviewers have said. I really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was absolutely great. Ryan Reynolds, fantastic. Josh Brolin, awesome. The only one, like I said, I wasn't such a fan of the guy who played Fire Fist, I have to admit. but maybe that's just the character in general, the sulky teenager. First time for doing a film review, but I saw that last night. I was like, I come out here today anyway to do another review, and I just thought I just got to talk about this. So I enjoyed it so much, and every other fucker's doing a video on it, so why shouldn't I? Deadpool 2, fucking awesome. Check it out. You're not going to be disappointed. Now, if you are still here and you did enjoy what you saw, maybe check out some of my other videos. If you like what you see and hear and all that shit, like, comment, share, subscribe. And if you are subscribed, hit the bell icon so that you get notifications every time I put out one of these drivelly bunches of shit. But yeah, thanks for watching, and yeah, see you some other time maybe.